Ever since Trump became president, he vowed to go after the immigration situation that Joe Biden and them and the Democrats did by letting in over 20 million undocumented immigrants. And he said that he was going to run them all out of America and run them back to their respective countries. Right? So now LA has become a war zone. LA, Florida, Miami, Houston, all these places ICE is raiding, and they're just really running down on Latino families and running them back to Mexico, Honduras, Cuba, all over the place. And you see Latinos all on social media now complaining, right? And they're calling out ICE. You see some of these people said, I will vote for Donald Trump. Now they're crying because they voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has double-crossed them, right? And their families are being decimated. And in LA, I'm hearing, you can hear rat piss on cotton. It's quiet. The stores are shut down. People are not walking in the streets for fear of ICE running down on them and running them back across the border, right? And this is, this thing is, for me as a black American, I can gloat and make fun, but I don't think that it's funny. I know that a lot of them came here illegally, but I know what this government has did to us and my people, us as a people. So I don't think that it's funny. The situation is happening, but it's happening nonetheless. And a lot of these Latinos have anti-black racism on my people, right? They've taken on the thought process of the W supremacists, and they've come after my people with all kinds of rhetoric. But even with that, I'm a human being, and I still don't think that it's funny. I think it's a sad thing, but it's happening nonetheless. They broke the law, they came here illegally, and now they're being sent back to their countries, right? But now you have a lot of these Latinos, they have turned on the Democratic Party. They know that they were double crossed by the Republican Party, but this is what they're saying. Check it out.
Democrats have had term after term after term to do something for the Latino community, to help DACA recipients and those here illegally, and yet they haven't. To think that they are doing anything for us is a joke. Do I agree that Trump should just be getting rid of everyone? No, but Biden made sure this would happen, opening up the border, letting whomever walk in, knowing it wouldn't be his problem in 4 years. Everyone hates Trump so much they can't see who has been dangling the carrot over their heads for years.
And then he also said this.
These protests in LA, they're not doing shit. It's just a bunch of Latinos that, rather than educate themselves and figure out a way to make a real movement, go and give them a reason to round more people up, to throw more people in jail, and to make even more stringent laws against things like this. Everything but take accountability and actually learn something of how the system in America works.
And if you hear this, these are things that I've been saying for years, right? Even if a lot of the immigrants that come into this country is not racist, they're still going to be diametrically opposed to you in black communities, because their politics is going to be separate from yours. Their lifestyle is predicated on your dysfunction. They come into your communities and open up shop, and they make you fund their American dream. If black people got themselves together and owned their communities, where would they go, right? Where would they make money? Right, for in a lot of different aspects, right? Especially on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it may be a little different. They got their community, but on the East Coast, where they're going to go, how they're going to make money, right? So we've been warning these people for years about the Democratic Party, right? And what they've done and how they sold our communities out, and the Republican Party. But now you guys are listening. But we've been dealing with this anti-black, these anti-blackness from these Latinos for a long time. They come online and they talk like this.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump.
I know y'all remember her well.
Quote unquote, saying that this is not your battle. What do you mean this is not your battle? First of all, we're not asking for help. Let's get that straight. Second of all, if you want to stand for your rights, then this is your fight too. We are sick and tired that people are attacking each other, and y'all want to make yourself really known. This is the problem now. Whenever Mexican and Latinos get together, we know how to come together and fight. But what do? Y'all go against each other.
This is the same person who didn't come together with her own undocumented grandparents and voted to have ICE deport them. And yeah, you had to learn how to protest real quick to try to get yourself out of the mess you created after you not only stabbed the Black community in the back on November 5th, but when you stabbed yourself, your family, and your own community in the back.
We know how to protest the right way.
Here comes the anti-Black, white-pleasing rhetoric.
We don't break into stores. We don't do all this, this demolish stuff. We don't do none of that.
First of all, yes, y'all do, because we're watching it in LA right now. Secondly, by any means necessary, telling us to protest the right way is gaslighting by the ruling class. It's a racist talking point mostly weaponized against Black people. This Hispanic woman still seeks validation and acceptance from the white ruling class. She is submissive to them and will protest only in ways that the people oppressing her deem acceptable. No form of protest is acceptable to them, by the way. I hear so many Hispanics pitting themselves against each other, criticizing protesters in LA for what they perceive as protesting violently. So again, you don't stick together. Protesters in LA are dealing with antagonistic National Guard and U.S. Marines. No one else in the country is dealing with what the protesters in LA are dealing with, and I support LA.
It's kind of hurtful for y'all to say different things like, oh, we don't need Latino, we don't need no Mexican, we don't need this, we better without them. Fine.
You don't get to sit here and cry because you backstabbed Black people on November 5th and now Black people don't want to support you.
And we forgive you. You know that? Because that's how good we are. We have good hearts. We help other people.
You got a good heart? Is that why you voted to send ICE after your own grandparents and your neighbors? Is that your version of helping?
But for y'all to sit there and say, take your asses back to where y'all came from.
If some Black people are saying that, those are words, because on November 5th, Black people voted to keep you and your community safe. Did you vote to keep your own community safe?
So now what you have is the Latinos are going against each other, right? They're calling each other out. They're not sticking together. See, we was always accused of not sticking together, unaliving each other, tearing down our stores, tearing each other down, hating on each other. And you all often hate these other groups. The problem with Black Americans is they don't like each other. They don't stick together, right? You hear all this kind of stuff. But now you're seeing Latinos, right? And they're not sticking together. They're calling each other out. They're holding each other accountable. They're going against each other, right? And they're calling out the anti-Black racism within their community amongst their own, right? They're saying all of a sudden that it needs to stop. Now, they should have been saying this 2 and 3 years ago, right? But they're saying it now, and they're really going ham. Check this out.
Where do I even start when it comes to LA city politics right now? There are a few things that our community has to really confront and talk about, especially in light of the racism that we've literally seen being perpetuated and condoned by council members Cedillo, Martinez, and KDL. I keep hearing this narrative that these council members don't represent our community, and to an extent they don't, because their racism is just abhorrent and disgusting. But to an extent they also do. I was reading this tweet where this person was saying that Nuri Martinez, she represents someone that's in our family, be it our aunt, our brother, our sibling, our grandparents, because anti-Blackness runs so deep within our communities. It is so on top of not just reflecting on what this means for our communities, we have to counter these narratives, these racist narratives in our lives 24/7. And we also have to understand how shit like this, how this anti-Black sentiment that's so rampant in our communities, that this undercuts political change. It undercuts policy changes. It's so detrimental to building coalitions, which bleeds into my next point, that Latinos can and do reaffirm white supremacy. It's not to say that we're not racialized or othered in the US, but our proximity to whiteness inherently puts us at a advantage. As if anyone who has done Latin American studies or is familiar with the racialized politics of being Latina in the US, if they can duet this, please do, by all means. This is painful work, but we really have to reflect on the anti-Blackness within our communities. And we also have to accept that being Latina, being a woman of color, we can also reaffirm it's so fast. And as someone who has worked for council members and who has worked in local politics, if this has taught me anything, you can't put these elected officials on a pedestal, because at the end of the day, they are public servants. Emphasis and heavy on the public servants. It's a damn shame, because I really, really did look up to KDL, Kevin De Leon. I took a course with him at UCLA when I was an undergrad. He was one of my biggest inspirations, given the fact that at one point he was the face of Latino politics within the state of California. And he was very influential. So this is just deeply, deeply hurtful.
There was even one Latino Uber driver. He was startled when he found out that a lot of Latinos abandoned the Democratic Party and went Republican because they were upset with what they were giving the Venezuelans when the Venezuelans was coming into this country under the Biden administration. The Latinos was upset. How could you give the Venezuelans this? Oh, don't that sound like our argument about you guys? Right? Check this out.
All Latinos in New York City voted Republican for the first time. So I'm an Uber driver in New York City, right? And today I picked up this Mexican guy. He was the first passenger, right? And he was telling me, oh, so what do you think about the election and whatever, you know? And I was like, hey, you know, Trump, you know, let's see what he's going to do, man. Hopefully he does good things or whatever, you know? And then he just went off, man. Like, I guess he was trying to fill me out because we're in New York City, you know what I'm saying? He's enemy territory for the Republicans, right? So he started going off, right? Following person was also from South America. I couldn't really pick up on their accent, man. And they started the conversation the same, you know. The other person was Mexican, and it was this Dominican lady. The Dominican lady, man, she went off the road. She was talking about George Soros and everything, and I was like, what? But whatever. The point is that they all gave the exact same reason for why they all voted Republican for the first time, man. And y'all want to know what it was? The Venezuelans. They were so mad about the Venezuelans. They like, yo, listen, it's not because the Venezuelans, right? It just happened to be it was them, man. They came over here and they was giving them everything. They were fed up. They were so fucking upset, man. They were so upset about the Venezuelans, man. The Venezuelans turned them Republicans. They're like, nah, man, we're not messing with the Democrats no more. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. So if that was 4 people today, man, I could only imagine how many other people, man, voted red for the first time as a result of the frustrations that the government put, the local government, man, and the federal government put on them with all the migrants that they brought into this country, man. But that's crazy. I've been said the Democrats are going to lose this election because of the Venezuelan situation.
So then we get to this Dominican woman, and y'all know the Dominicans. I know black. You know, they don't like to be called. I know black. I Dominican, right? You know how they operate, right? And they don't say that I know black, I'm Dominican because they just want to be Dominican. No, they hate the blackness or the African in their blood. They don't like it. You know, when they see Dominicans that may look like me, they say, you're not Dominican, you're Haitian, right? They have a lot of anti-black racism and horrible sentiments towards blackness or African in their skin. They can't stand it, right? So you see this woman here, right? She's on there, she's saying that she's not black, but let's look at the history of anti-black racism within the Latino culture. Check it out.
I'm sick of y'all telling me that I gotta say that I'm black when I'm not. I am Dominican.
So in Latin America, they got this running joke. I don't think it's a running joke, but this joke goes, every Latino family has a black grandma that they're hiding in the closet. Every Latino family has a black grandma that they're hiding in the closet. Let me show you what that means. You see this picture? This is the black grandma that they're talking about. She ended up having a baby by, a pale, maybe light-complected man. And she got this biracial daughter. The biracial daughter went to go procreate with, a light white person. And they got this daughter. So they never talk about the black grandma, though. And the black grandma, she wanted to erase blackness, too. She wanted to get rid of it. That's why she has no problem being hidden. They're indoctrinated with anti-blackness, racism. It runs deep. They're not only trying to erase blackness, but they're ashamed of it. So someone like her, the previous person, Domino Black, will never admit that she's black. Anything but that.
Papa, why you never told me we are black? And he hold my hand and told me, sweetie, we are not black. We are morenos. Now, of course, he was aware that he was a black man, but he rejected that identity. And I think this happens in most families, that you hide the black grandma in the closet.
The black grandma in the closet?
Yeah.
In America, traditionally, if you had 1 drop of black blood, you were black. If the 1 dropper were applied in Mexico, all of these people would be black.
This is my family.
So the racism within the anti-black racism within the black community is very powerful. I myself I have a Cuban grandmother, and I understand how it is and how they are. My grandmother married a black man, and that stuff was frowned upon because they want to be as close proximity to whiteness as they can. In the black community back in the day, man, if you were very, very light skinned, you could pass for white. A lot of blacks ran away to the white side because being black hurt. And at some point in time, you could be unalive. There was all kinds of things. Rights will be taken away from you. So we know the colorism that goes on in the black community. But when you deal with the Latino community, they were trained to hate their blackness. Anything closest to whiteness was something greater of value. And my grandmother talked to me about that and how the family, wasn't pleased with her marrying a black man. And then so it's a lot that come with that. With my Cuban side and then my mom's side of the family. So I understand the anti-black racism that goes on within these communities, but now you're starting to see it unravel and them starting to really let the cat out the bag. At one point they would deny, oh no, there's no colorism, there's no racism within the Latino community. But now it's being exposed because they're being forced to come out with it because now they're understanding what we've been through here as a people. Oh, you guys are lazy. You guys complain too much about racism. You do all this, but now look at you guys. And now you're calling on us. Where we had no friends, as Dr. John Henry Clark told us. We had no friends. Everybody was speaking out against us. They seen what went on with us. But now that it's happening to you, and these people have double-crossed you the way they double-crossed us, and they told you, you finding out that you're black just as well as us. They're treating you that way now, right? Now it's something is us. And me, this is not hate speech. I can't hate. I'm black and brown. And I'm telling the truth about what goes on within the community. Do I think it's funny that's happening to them? No, I think it's a shame. And I think that a lot of you guys now are starting to realize what we've been trying to tell y'all and warn y'all against. And I hope that y'all can learn y'all lesson from this. But I don't know, man. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button. I'm going to end it right here, man. Subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Everybody to see this video, leave a comment. The more comments you leave when you watch these videos, the more it gets out into the algorithm. But leave your comments in the comment section. Again, this is not hate speech. I am a product of black and brown, African American and Cuban. And I'm just telling the truth about what goes on. All right, remember, I love y'all. Till next time, peace.